December 12th, 2025. A Ukrainian FPV drone is tracking a Russian soldier in a wooded area. The soldier, running between trees to escape the drone, was unable to outmaneuver it. Despite the trees, the FPV drone continued to advance, performing precise maneuvers. When the Russian soldier stumbled and fell to the ground, he became the drone's target. This is the Lyman region, where Russian soldiers attempting to establish new positions in the forested area have become trapped. Ukrainian drones are preventing Russian forces from settling in the area. FPV drones are relentlessly attacking Russian infantry. It is still unclear why Russian soldiers constantly wander around alone. What do you think could be the reason for this? Here, 2 Russian soldiers on motorcycles are suddenly attacked by a Ukrainian FPV drone. Russian soldiers are generally attacked while patrolling the front lines in pairs or alone. Numerous drones are deployed solely to target these infantrymen. Escaping the drones is nearly impossible. However, why don't Russian forces change their tactics at the front despite suffering heavy losses to drones? Are they just sending soldiers to the front aimlessly? Once again, a fiber optic drone managed to infiltrate a Russian position and began chasing Russian soldiers. The Ukrainian Signum Battalion continues to attack Russian positions in Lyman, Donetsk, and Sumy. Russian soldiers, desperately trying to hide, became targets of the attacks. Soldiers who thought they could avoid detection by drones by remaining motionless became the easiest targets. Do you have any idea why soldiers who see drones try to remain motionless? Are they trained to do so? This time, 2 Russian soldiers were spotted in the Pokrovsk region. Unaware that they were being followed by a drone, the Russian soldiers continued to advance and were monitored very closely. After walking for a while, the soldiers decided to stop and rest when they got tired. This decision created the most opportune moment for the Ukrainian forces to attack. The FPV drone had already been sent to attack. It appears that the Russian soldiers are actually very cautious and careful. However, they seem to be advancing along a specific route. This route they were using was already being constantly monitored by Ukrainian drones. The drone approached carefully with its high explosive payload. It crashed into the soldiers lying on the ground. 2 Russian soldiers did not survive. Once again, a Ukrainian FPV drone spotted a lone Russian soldier while searching for Russian units in the area. The soldier, who didn't even have time to understand what the approaching drone was, couldn't escape it. For a moment, it seemed like he was about to act, but it was too late. The front is now covered in snow. Winter is making progress on the front increasingly difficult. Russian soldiers attempting to advance in this terrain are becoming targets of attacks. A drone also hit this soldier on the head. A Russian soldier under attack in the Pokrovsk region. He is trying to shoot down the drone by firing at it. The drone operator is quite determined not to let the Russian soldier escape. Look closely at the terrain. There is nowhere for the soldier to hide, so he tried to fight to the end where he was. He fired at the drone repeatedly, but failed to hit it. So, what weapon would be easier to shoot down a drone with? If you have any ideas on this, please mention them in the comments. Ukrainian forces are conducting reconnaissance with a drone on a logistics route in the Donetsk region. With winter arriving, the roads are now in very poor condition. Soon after, the drone spotted a Russian soldier using an ATV. Making a sharp maneuver, the drone turned and attacked. One soldier managed to escape, while the other became the drone's target. Although the Russian soldier struggled to escape, he couldn't find a suitable position to fire at the drone. As a last resort, he threw his weapon at the drone, but this didn't save him from the inevitable end. Carefully watching what was about to happen, he fired at the Russian FPV drone, carrying explosives as it approached the Russian soldier and successfully neutralized it. But did you notice? Even though the drone is quite close, its size makes it really difficult to hit. Now it's easier to understand why Russian soldiers can't hit the drones. Once again, a Russian soldier is trying to shoot down a drone in open terrain. However, he used up all his ammunition and failed to hit the drone. The soldier, having run out of bullets, threw down his weapon and began to flee. The fiber optic drone approached the soldier who had run out of ammunition and struck him directly. Another bizarre moment of attack. A soldier carrying a very heavy bag was walking down the road when he suddenly collapsed from exhaustion. Already completely defenseless, the soldier was about to be attacked when a kamikaze drone struck the Russian soldier. A wounded Russian soldier was found hiding in a house on the front lines with crutches. A highly explosive drone attack was carried out on the house where he was hiding. A single attack on the house where the Russian soldier was hiding caused a huge explosion. The Russian soldier did not survive the explosion. Ukrainian forces carried out a major operation. An attack was launched against a Russian oil tanker in the Black Sea using unmanned naval vehicles. Ukrainian forces, which had been tracking fuel shipments to the front for months, launched the attack to neutralize the tanker without allowing it to deliver fuel. The unmanned naval vehicles carried high explosives and repeatedly attacked the hull of the Russian oil tanker. The ship waited for hours for the attacks to come without any defense. The tanker ship that was attacked began to sustain significant damage. Approximately 15 unmanned naval vehicles were used. The Russian ship eventually caught fire and began to sink. This attack was so significant that it progressively worsened the Russian forces' fuel shortage at the front. These logistical errors made by Russian forces at the front continue to cause them to suffer heavy losses in the war. 2 Russian soldiers were waiting in a strange position in the middle of a field. Ukraine's Tu S-1 Gvozdika self-propelled gun targeted 2 Russian soldiers with a shot fired from 12 kilometers away. Although the first shell missed, the second shot landed directly on one of the Russian soldiers. The reloading process between the first and second shots took only 10 seconds. As a result of the airstrike on Crimea, which is under Russian control, an An-26 aircraft and 2 important enemy radars hidden in a dome, Nebo-M and 64N-6E, which enabled the operation of the S-300/S-400 complexes, were destroyed. Russian soldiers entered the Pokrovsk region to conduct an operation to drive Russian units out of the area. After spending some time exploring the ruins and abandoned houses, the soldiers heard the sound of an FPV drone belonging to Russian forces and all began firing at it. They fired continuously at the drone, which was quite far away and approaching them for an attack, but they couldn't bring it down. 6 soldiers used all their firepower to shoot down the drone, but its size made it impossible to bring it down. That's precisely why soldiers need to carry shotguns to shoot down drones. The drone attacked when it came within a few meters, but luckily, the drone failed to hit any soldiers and crashed into an empty area, exploding. But 2 Russian soldiers were seriously wounded by flying shrapnel fragments. The Ukrainian Leopard 2A4 tank belonging to the Anakivska Brigade, also known as the 155th Mechanized Brigade, attacked Russian positions in the Pokrovsk region of Donetsk Oblast. This tank, provided by Germany to Ukraine's military infantry, is a true war machine. A Russian target has been detected. Drones relayed the coordinates to the tank unit, and tank fire began on the position where Russian soldiers were located. The Leopard 2A4 is an extraordinarily different tank design, developed from the physiology of the previous Leopard 1 main battle tank, which prioritized mobility over armor protection. Repeated shots fired at Russian positions hit their targets flawlessly. This is the city of Minharad, Donetsk region. A helicopter surveys the destroyed and completely burned out neighborhoods with tall buildings. In just 1 year, the entire city was abandoned and turned into ruins. All the buildings, houses, everything bears the marks of artillery and drone attacks. Civilian buildings have been rendered completely unusable by the uncontrolled attacks of Russian forces. Moreover, smoke is still rising in the city, because this is still a region where both countries are in conflict. Winter has arrived, and the front line is now becoming completely impassable. From this point on, attacks will only be carried out using unmanned aerial vehicles. Russian forces are struggling to build new trenches due to harsh weather conditions. Russian soldiers are often sleeping inside armored vehicles or taking cover inside abandoned vehicles. Both sides continue their battle at the front line, launching thousands of drone attacks every day. Do you think the war will end with the onset of winter? Will Russian forces launch a major operation before the snow falls? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments.